Those will just keep increasing, especially if we get specialty languages, which kind of occur because of the university and the students there and the languages that we have to accommodate. We had a little bit of paid overtime that we justified. Spoke to Luke about that ahead of time. If anybody has any questions, I'm happy to talk about that. But we did have one of our senior-most people that had been with the court 20 years resign back in August, and we all dug in and got caught up on things that were that person's duties, and we've done a great job, and I appreciate everyone's help. Moving to the next, just that recap that I give you, looks like DUIs were down this year, and although violations in total were up a little bit, assaults, basically flat, up one. Thefts were down 64. Domestic violence, unfortunately, up 18, and possessions were up 42 cases over the year. If you look down there at the bottom, revenue collected, $48,000 more than the year before. Dispersed to the state, $22,000 more than the year before, and we retained $26,000 more than the year before. I always like to just kind of preface that, or not prefacing because I'm saying it after, but technically the court's not supposed to be concerned about generating revenue, but the reality is that it does, and there's the numbers. And then I always like to show you the citation comparisons by the LEAs that we receive the most citations, the bulk of our citations from Cedar City Police, the Iron County Sheriffs, and HP. Randall has me break down SUU because in the last couple of years they must have a big ticket writer, but their citation writing has gone up considerably in the last 3 years.
Mm-hmm. They poached Cedar City's traffic guy.
Yeah. He was a little off this year, but and then I hear all my family and neighbors complain about whoever it is, because they've always got someone pulled over around that university. Does anyone have any questions? Nope.
No, thanks, Laura.
Never do.
Very
Thank you.
much.
Okay.
Thank you. Victim advocate.
Morning. Within the Sheriff's Office, the Victim Services Program last year served a total of 413 clients. That was a 5% increase from last year. We had 393 clients, which is better than the year prior. We had a 68% increase and went from 245 to 393. So this last year it kind of calmed down a little bit. Some of our most frequent victimizations, the highest is always domestic violence. 147 of those clients were domestic violence related. 54 were physical assaults, 48 stalking or harassment, 45 child sexual abuse, and 44 adult sexual abuse. So those are the most common victimizations that we're seeing. As far as things that are happening within our program, Savannah Gardner, she is our advocate that we have housed out of Cedar City Police. She applied for and was accepted to receive some training from Timpanogos Legal Center. I have that same training. They basically train advocates throughout the state to help people represent themselves in their protective order cases. And so I've been doing that since November of 2023. It's been a huge benefit to our program, especially when people can't afford to hire an attorney, and they really need those protective orders. We can now obviously assist with that. But having Savannah to be able to be trained will be awesome. She started training in January and should be finished about April or May. That'll make 2 law enforcement advocates in the entire county, which is all of our law enforcement advocates. And then there's 3 community-based advocates with Canyon Creek that have that same certification. So it's a huge benefit to the county. Some upcoming trainings that we have that we're using our training funds for. I attended a child abuse conference in this last month. We've got several in-state trainings between now and May that we're planning on attending, and then Savannah is planning on attending a Crimes Against Women conference in May. We like to stay up to date, make sure we know what our best practices are so that we can serve the best that we can. Just a little success story that I like to share. We had a rape case that was reported last year. Savannah was the advocate on that. It was kind of a case that we had to pull pretty much every resource we had out of our pocket to try and make sure this was a success. We ended up starting with a protective order process. Savannah recognized that it was above what she could do. The other party had hired an attorney, and that attorney was not very kind. And we kind of got to a point where it was getting to be a little bit harassing and infringing on victim rights. And so we were able to bring in a crime victim rights attorney from Salt Lake that was able to kind of shut down some of those harassment things from the other attorney. Ended up getting the protective order granted, which we were very thankful for. Savannah worked with another county's attorney's office to make sure that they had everything that they needed so they could file charges, and Savannah let me know that there's a sentencing this week, so we're pretty proud of that. As far as our budget goes, I think 2025 we stayed within our budget, and as of now our 2026 budget looks like it's going to cover everything that we need. So I'm thankful for that. Any questions for me?
No, I just want to thank you guys. Just as usual, it's so nice on the law enforcement end of it to have that resource to be able to help pick up the slack where law enforcement doesn't have time for those continuous follow-ups and stuff.
Yeah.
I've had a couple of cases in Parowan lately that's it's been super helpful.
Yeah. Well, I
So
appreciate it. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Next will be Paul.
Hello, Commissioners. Thank you.
morning, Paul.
Paul Monroe with the Central Iron County Water Conservancy District. Appreciate the opportunity to be here. A couple of highlights to end out the year. We had financially, we had $8.6 million of new infrastructure that we put in this last year. Capital projects. Most of those were a new kind of central located tank that is over by the landfill out in 8 Mile Hills area. And most of that, all of those dollars primarily are rolled into a $14 million loan with additional $4 million grant that we had received, low interest at 1.25%. With a 40-year term on that. And so we're excited to get that project up and going. It's going to serve the community very well. We're having a lot of very progressive discussions with our neighboring cities, Cedar City and Enoch City. The location of the tank adds an additional 20 pounds of pressure throughout the valley floor, which is really kind of the main area for growth, as well as kind of the low pressure zone within the whole valley. So you can imagine the valley, basically this pressure zone goes all the way to the airport and kind of hugs that same elevation, which goes from the airport. If you draw a straight line to the north interchange of Cedar City, that's kind of the eastern barrier there. Wraps around, Cali follows just Westview Drive down past our new building and can go clear down to Canaryville and then loop back around and feed everything, the new inland port, everything out further west and west of basically that elevation grade from that area. With Enoch City, it exactly matches their lower pressure zone. So everything that their pressure zone, I think, goes up to around where their city offices are. Everything back to the west of that is within that lower pressure zone. It provides a really large benefit for Cedar City. For decades, they've been looking at ways that they might be able to reduce the pressure out of their main well field in Quichapa, and this provides a great opportunity for them to be able to pump directly to and in towards that tank and then boost out of it where it needs to go, and then they can also supply their lower pressure zones with that as well. That's a really big benefit to operationally, because you're not taking the water, pumping it all the way to the highest tank, and then bleeding that energy back by burning it up through a PRV or reducing the pressure back down. So operationally, it really saves a lot of money for taxpayers in general. Operational costs should go down, and then also just the stress of the amount of pressure that's on those wells. They have to stack a series of bowls within those wells so that they can provide the pressure they need to boost it up to those tanks. So staging it with different booster pump stations just overall increases the efficiency as well as just the operations, long-term maintenance of that equipment as well. We just hired a new employee we're excited about, Kimberly Trower. She's a commander in the 204, and she's also newly elected to Enoch City Council. She's handling our public relations. We're excited to have her on staff. And then I'm going to highlight two other projects, our effluent reuse project and then Basin 14. With the effluent reuse project, that phase one of that project where it brings our effluent water, our wastewater, treated to a type 1 where then it can come in human contact. So it can be used on city parks, golf course, any area like that. That phase is supposed to be commissioned and operable in about 2 months, according to the engineer. And then phase 2, the district has been working hard on collecting and finding resources to fund phase 2, which will be a network of infrastructure piping that back into our communities. Right now we have $3.75 million that we've received in the form of grants. That includes $1 million from Water Resources, $1 million from Department of Ag, and 1.75 from Celeste Malloy. We'll go through the EPA process. The Department of Ag portion will deliver that water to an ag producer, and so that's a great component of that. And then eventually we'll continue to build out that distribution system or transmission system back into the communities.
So 3.75 million is what you have now?
Yes. Estimated to build out is probably around 11 million to bring it all the way back into Cedar City and do all the connections that they need within the city. So, Representative Rex Ship is currently running an RFA through the legislature for $4 million. So when it presented to the legislature last week, and things are tight up there, but we'll see, and we'll be happy if there's anything that we are able to get from resources there. And then last project I wanted to highlight is Basin 14, Pine Valley Water Supply. We're nearing the end of receiving that right away with the BLM. We've been working through that NEPA process since 2019, and we at that point we elected to go through the most rigorous process, which is the EIS, or the Environmental Impact Statement. There's different levels of NEPA process you can do, but the EIS is the one that takes the hardest look at that, and so we've thoroughly gone through that, and we expect the record of decision. Well, I will say the final EIS will be published at the end of the month, and then the record of decision comes sometime after that. So we are excited to see that and to see the progress for that, and anticipate that we'll be able to continue to move forward on that project. So, any questions on any of those?
Paul, the loan you got that you talked about at a good interest rate, where did you get that loan from?
That went through USDA Rural Development.
Okay.
Yeah.
What kind of interest rate do they give you?
1.25.
That's good.
Yeah. So yeah, we were excited about that.
Do you guys ever go after CIB or any of those kind of mechanisms or loans?
We have at times. CIB is
Pretty broke right now, I think, still. But
are they? They don't have. Yeah.
They just-
They've it's hard when not being a contributing county. They like to really tell you you're not that important.
yeah.
So as far as allocation of that affluent water, how is that going to be addressed? So where that water is going to end up, and who has access to that? And who's
Yeah,
on the
that
priority
first
list?
phase, we still anticipate or hope to be able to utilize $1 million from the Department of Ag, and that will be. We tried to work really hard with the Clarks for about 2 years to get an easement through their property, and we're unsuccessful in that. And so now we're looking and working with Brent Hunter, he's got a half a pivot that's on 1700 West in Mid Valley. That we think with these additional funds we got with Celeste Molay, we can get the pipeline there and still utilize those funds. Those are ARPA funds. They have to be spent by June 30th. And so we're going to be working really hard to get that in and get that moving along. The allocation itself, some of the agreements that Cedar City made ties up some of that water where they had an agreement with the Clarks that it can't be used for any other agricultural purpose except for the Clarks. But the allocation of the county, the district, and Enoch City's water is what we've been working with on that for those ag funds, where we can use about 600 acre feet to go towards agriculture. And then the rest of it is just going to have to continue to work through some of the things with Cedar City to utilize those. Funds.
Where are you at with winter storage of that effluent?
Yeah, that's a good question. Preliminarily, we looked at a couple of locations. One location would be to store it on site where you already have lots of infrastructure and people to be able to operate and have the technical abilities there with power and all the things to be able to pump it from the site. So build a reservoir on site where you have a lot of clay soils. Probably be a good place to store it. It might be a little shallow, so potential for losing a little bit more through evaporation, but that's still expensive. We're still probably looking upward. It hasn't been a lot of engineering, just kind of roughly looking at it. You're looking at $20 million to build the storage facility, something like that.
You said 6 million acre feet?
No, the total acre feet would be about 3,000. You probably build it with growth, probably build it for around 4,000. You only need to store it for 3,200 acre feet is what goes out there annually.
Oh, okay.
So if you built it for about 4,000 acre feet, you'd have enough capacity, basically double, because you're going to be using that only 6 months out of the year. You only need to store it for about 6 months out of the year. And also double because potentially you've got Coal Creek that runs right by there. So if there's any tailwaters, potentially you may be able to divert in there and store some of that water if it gets past all the other diversions. So that's kind of the storage area you'd be looking at. So it's got a big price tag. We've kind of pushed that off as phase 3, looking at maybe start investigating that more and constructing it around 2030. Another option that we've currently been looking at is getting some law changes and rule changes within the state of Utah to be able to reduce or allow type 1 water to be recharged and then get a credit and just pull it back out of the ground. So basically you're just using your aquifer as your storage basin.
Where
so
would
you don't have
you
that large capital cost.
Try to run it down the Western Rock pit or what?
Yeah, I don't know if Western Rock would be, I think there's still some time of travel and some things that way we may have to look into. There's some things we've got to investigate, but there's that, or just directly west of there into some of the hills that are, sorry, not west, east, just west or east of there, or east of Enoch, somewhere in there, that might be a little bit closer, or depending on where our pipelines are. There's lots of things to investigate, but we've had some discussions with water quality and Candace Hassenjager, who was the director of natural resources and now the director of Division of Drinking Water. She's a great resource, and she'd be the one that would be leading that. So we've got a lot of connections there. We've preliminarily got a meeting set up with her and the state engineer over Utah Water Users Conference.
Thing I've never been able to understand is we're recharging that water where it's at now anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, so I don't. But there's also been talk. There was talk at one time about using some of those canyons east of the Enoch Graben, or west facing, building a dam across one of those and storing it there. And it's what recharges, and what's left you can use in the spring for putting into pivots or whatever. Is that still being looked at? Or?
Well, I mean, if you were to go into the capital cost of building a dam to hold it there, you definitely wouldn't want any of it to leach in. It would just be very expensive. I know when you were on the board, we did look at that into those areas, and they were expensive dams. It would cost probably a lot more to build something there versus
In a reservoir.
than a pond down by the actual effluent
Whose property would you build that on, the reservoir?
How many acres do you have available there?
On site.
Yeah.
The city owns thousands of acres there. They've got 2 or 3 sections.
And they have the avenue to run that line to that site without easements?
You're talking east, or you're
Just-
talking about on site?
Just the city-owned property by the wastewater treatment plant to build?
Yeah, it's all connected. So yeah, they would be able to do it there. So
Interesting.
anyway, yeah, it's a good project. I think that there are some great opportunities. Finding the location will be somewhat difficult, but I as far as saving money, saving water, you're talking zero losses to evaporation if we can get some rules changed so that we can put it in the ground, and then being able to just take it back out. There's some large advantages there, but there are also advantages to having storage reservoirs. That's something that we've longed for and looked for a really long time in Iron County and Cedar Valley. We've got some here in the northern end of the county, but in Cedar Valley, there just hasn't been any locations where it's suitable for reservoirs up the canyon, and so we're kind of left with what we have, and that would be a benefit too, just be at higher cost. So we're going to investigate both of those over the next couple of years.
The thing I found interesting is I sit on the wastewater treatment board, and for as much growth as we've had, we haven't had hardly any increase in inflow to the wastewater treatment plant because of the low flow toilets, the low flow shower heads. Obviously, you have more outside watering that doesn't reach that, so we're using more water there. But it's been interesting to see that.
Yeah, and I can share a little bit of light on that too. On the source side, if you were to look at the trajectory as well, you've had this steep curve of growth, but on our diversion side, you mentioned the outdoor watering, and that's not the case. It's stayed, relatively flat as well.
Even outdoor watering, really?
There's been a slight uptick with the amount of growth, but not near matching what our growth has been. And so, yeah, there's a reduction on what's making it to the plant with the smart water use, but also our landscapes and the way that people are building home and developing homes. They're not as thirsty. They're putting in smart water landscapes, and our community is doing a really good job conserving water.
That's good.
Okay.
Thanks,
Thank
Paul.
you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, now we'll move on to commission reports. Paul, you want to go first?
Don't have a lot. I did attend a meeting in St. George with the Board of Health. We discussed water hauling issues in that meeting. We've always had a water hauling policy in the 5-county, which has been regulated by and basically it comes down to, unless you have a year-round source of water, they would not issue you a permit to put in a septic system. And we're looking at there's some scenarios where one size really doesn't fit all in the 5 counties. And I'll give you an example. There's a development over in Kane County that is, it's like 800 acres, and it will never have a water system. But yet they've got a lot of cabins and living residences there that are accessed year round, and those people haul water, and they need septic tanks to deal with their waste. And so that's one example of, and then in Iron County, I know there's been some pressure to lighten that requirement, because there are places, maybe some one-off cabins out in the middle of nowhere that they need a septic system, and they can haul water. Anyway, basically what we voted on or decided on in that meeting is to send it back and have the counties each individually decide our fate with those regulations. And so we'll have to get together as commissioners and have some meetings once that's finalized, and talk about with our planners and engineers and different things, and talk about how we're going to move forward in Iron County to possibly change that ordinance. So that's one thing that we did. In the 5-county steering committee, which I'm a member of, we generally have a mayor, a school board representative, and a commissioner serve on that board from 5-county. I asked, just to spread it out a little bit, I asked Mayor Halterman if she would serve as the mayor to represent Iron County, and she agreed to that. I think she's fantastic and will do a good job. It has been a Cedar City mayor, so thinking we might just rotate that around a little bit. I asked her, and she said she would accept that. And then I also have an issue when we talk about boards today to talk about for a replacement for the water board.
Okay.
So I'll wait till we get to that point in the agenda. That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Mike?
All right, I've got a few things. Met with building and zoning. Sam stepped out to go to court, I assume. So we're working on, we've got all these code enforcement issues, Lund Highway, the West Desert area, just really all over the county. Our code enforcement has been doing an incredible job, but they're a little bit hamstrung with access to different databases, the ability to issue citations if necessary. So what we're doing is working with the sheriff's office to not turn our code enforcement into law enforcement officers, but look at them kind of in the same way that we have our animal control, where they have the ability to access some law enforcement databases, as well as be able to issue certain citations without having to go find a deputy or find the county attorney's office, just to make their job a little more seamless so that they can get things done in a more timely manner. So we've met and talked about that and working through that process with the sheriff's office. I met with Parowan City in regards to a billboard. This was kind of funny. So there's a billboard out on the Adams property just north of Parowan where the cinnamon roll billboard is.
Where do you find those?
So
It's a trick.
the billboard, in 1974, the county signed an agreement with the state. So the county basically is the signer, and we're in charge of the billboard, which sits on the Adams property, which the Parowan Chamber alone has the discretion of what to put on the billboard, and that billboard must bring people into Parowan. And so the DOT needs a new agreement with that billboard. So that's something. It's more funny than anything. We'll work through to figure out that new agreement. I don't know what that's going to look like, but the agreement's been there since 1974 and has not been tweaked. The county has nothing to do with the billboard except for we have the rights to the billboard by agreement. Anyway, so Parowan City's doing the legwork on that. It was kind of to bring that to our attention, and we said we'll do whatever we can to straighten out your billboard mess. I have a machine called the Vertra trainer. So the Vertra is a realistic law enforcement training device. It's kind of a 360 degree virtual reality trainer that allows law enforcement officers to deal with real world situations in a safe area. It really is there to provide muscle memory training, as well as to implement some common sense. It's a really great asset that George was actually able to get for us a few years ago with a Homeland Security grant. The technology was initially deployed in Washington County. They lost their space where that was deployed, and we were able to bring that to Iron County. We had to do some, and I say we, Mike Gibbs and the sheriff's guys are going to have to do a little bit of remodeling in the basement. Took away Gibbs' last section of storage, so we have to get the jail built quick so Gibbs can get his storage section back. We know how important that is. But that equipment is now up and running as of last week, and it's it's a regional asset. Anybody can come from the 5-county area. Law enforcement agencies can schedule time in there. It really is a big deal. But that is up and running in the basement of the sheriff's department now. We had tourism board this week. It's not grant season there. We just had an update. We had an update from Summer Games, just really similar to what we had with John Oglesby in our last commission meeting. Talked about the importance of some of the upcoming projects as far as identifying some things and having a plan to work towards. I'm glad David Johnson's here. Met with him and the other economic development folks this last week on a project called Project Lucy. It's an industrial project. It's looking to locate to Iron County. And when we have those meetings, it's important to understand the partnerships there. Representatives from the Governor's Office of Economic Opportunity, the Inland Port, Cedar City, Southwest Tech, Southern Utah University, Rocky Mountain Power, Enbridge. There may have been more. But it's really a collaborative effort when we have these companies that are going to be a good thing for Iron County, look at locating here. And there's really a lot of time and effort on David's part and everybody involved to really make those site visits and those in-person visitations really beneficial and short to the point. We did one of those this last week. We're in the middle of our legislative session with our UAC legislative call. We've had some. There's been some good things going on in the legislature so far. UAC seems to be on top of the things that are really going to benefit the county. Nicole and Luke and Terry and Brett and I met with some representatives from another energy project, just talking about the possibilities of locating in Iron County. We had a good meeting. I know they also did. Were they ever able to catch up with you, David? Okay. I know that they were able to catch up with Danny. So they were able to catch up with Inland Port. We have our ongoing jail project. Everything's, we have those weekly meetings. Ken and I were actually able to visit Holt Farms last week. If you remember, it's been a while back, we approved them to build a digester. I don't know if I knew exactly what that was when we were talking about it. Basically, they've got a big pit that digests all of the poop from the thousands of cattle that they have. They put it into a
6,000.
6,000.
I was out there too last week.
Did you go out there too?
I forgot to mention it.
Yes.
It's fascinating.
No, it's fascinating. Yeah, they have 6,000 dairy cows.
Milk 3 times a day.
Yeah, they're on a carousel. They just rotate, and they milk 24 hours a day. They've got a giant. So they build a giant pit, put a giant tarp over the top to catch all of the methane and other gases, and then when that thing fills up, they turn on a giant torch and burn that off. Really, on their part, it's really mostly being a good neighbor, trying to mitigate some of the odors that are caused by that operation in the valley. And as we were standing there, the pond that feeds into there really was very little odor. I think it's going to work. They have a really cool nickname for it that, I'll let them share that. But no, it's just really cool to see them being good neighbors and willing to put those assets there to help the valley out there. I did meet with Representative Malloy's office. They contacted me in regards to community infrastructure grants becoming available again through the federal government. If you remember, that's the grant that we were able to utilize. We got $7 million for the improvement of Iron Springs Road. Those dates, as far as application process and stuff, have not been released yet. But as soon as that type of a thing is available, they'll be back in touch to make sure that we have the information to get in on those grants again. That's about it.
Thank you. So last week I was able to travel to Central Utah. Took the opportunity to go in and meet with CO Buildings to talk about a couple of projects that we have upcoming in the county. Possible expansion of the building at the road department to add another bay for the weed department to make sure that we have all of her equipment in a secluded, confined space with a containment and drainage system. Also got a bid from them, just a preliminary, just shoot me a rough idea of what it would cost to do an indoor arena at the fairgrounds. So I got both of those bids from them. Had a meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission. Talked about several different items that'll be on the agenda later in the next meeting. And then after that, I took the opportunity to talk with Rich and with Terry. I've voiced several times that I'm very concerned about the developments we have going out in the county, and there's no shoulders, no sidewalks on the roads for people that are walking or riding bikes, small kids going to Three Peaks Elementary and those kinds of areas. They are also very concerned about that scenario and situation. And talking with Tyler Melling, also at that meeting, he had some ideas of some grants that might be available to do some trail systems, possibly behind some of those subdivisions that would alleviate people walking on those main roads. So, GEL meeting is continual on a weekly basis, and that's moving along very well. It was great to go out to Holt Dairy and look at the methane burner and see that they're being progressive and trying to be good neighbors and move on with that. Also had a call from George talking about a meeting that he had with the state vet, the New World, discussing the New World screwworm and the issues that that's going to bring, and the state's ability to address that as far as economically of whether they would help out in the prevention of that. Right now it's contained in Mexico. The federal government is continuing to do mitigation efforts in that, and as far as breeding flies and then radiating the male flies so that they're sterile, and then releasing those into Mexico so that they will crossbreed with the screwworm, and then the offspring is sterile so that they're not able to continue to produce and progress northward into the U.S. So that's an ongoing deal, and we haven't dealt with it for years and years. I do remember as a kid my dad and granddad talking about dealing with screwworm, and so that's, if anything we can do to avoid that scenario would be fantastic. Everybody knows beef prices are high, and if the screwworm hit feed yards in the U.S., it would be very detrimental to our food supply and food source. So, and then also I heard about a bill that's being tossed around in the state legislature, of prohibiting spraying of herbicides and pesticides within 1,000 feet of residences or schools. It's very, very concerning to me, because how's that going to be managed? Who's going to enforce that? And how is that gonna take place? So, gonna keep watching that one and see how that one progresses. That's all I've got, and so we will take a 5-minute break and start up again at 10 o'clock. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner.
We're ready. All right, we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you all for attending. Let's see. We'll start out with a public hearing for anything that's not on the agenda. Anybody that wants to make a comment is invited to come forward, and we'll entertain that at this time. Seeing none, we'll go on with the agenda. Number 1 is a public hearing and discussion of possible approval for disposal of a parcel of real property, APN A20 and A-3-1. Dan Jessen.
Okay, Dan and I'll kind of jointly talk to this. This is something that we've worked on for several months.
Several months, like a year and a half.
Several 18 months. So what we have is a situation where the landfill that the Iron County runs is on Parowan property, and the pit that Parowan would like to put aquifer or recharge into is Iron County property. And so we felt it was sensible to do a little bit of a transfer so that we both own what we both beneficially use. And this has both been talked about in closed session with the commissioners. We've made proper notice, both Parowan City and Cedar City. There's pieces that Parowan will be deeding to us. And Dan,
Just to be clear, Cedar City's not involved. Slip of the tongue, I know.
Sorry, them's fighting words.
I just didn't want people that could be concerned.
No, I'm so sorry. Parowan City.
He just wants to see that trigger you, Dan.
Oh, it'll trigger people, maybe not Dan.
See, in all these
Fighting words around here, John.
all these
No.
discussions, John and I have been secretly talking Cedar City behind your back.
Oh, boy.
I'm glad you didn't throw anything. I'm completely derailed now. All right.
Between Parowan City and Iron County.
Parowan City and Iron County. Thank you, Commissioner. All right. So we got the whereas and the wherefore. This is our draft agreement. Primarily stable landfill operation, but also there's a secure pit into which floodwaters or excess water may flow from Parowan Creek, also known as Center Creek. Slab flow will contribute to the recharge of the aquifer in Parowan Valley and will help secure culinary and well water in the future. Furthermore, aquifer recharge can help meet the demands of an anticipated groundwater management plan imposed by the Utah State Water Engineer. We kind of give the information on the two different parcels. Iron County currently operates said landfill, and Parowan City is constructing a pipeline for said recharge. Another aspect of this that is, I think, very beneficial is we already share the resources when it comes to gravel and riprap. We've reinforced, well, Parowan City has reinforced channels, the channel going west. We have used the riprap for some of the NRCS stuff that we've done in this valley. We have a couple of more drainages a couple of more channels to do, and so there's riprap available where the landfill is, and there's gravel available where that pit is. Continued use of the gravel actually benefits because it will improve the aquifer recharge. So basically what we're talking about then is Parowan City will transfer to Iron County this parcel here. This is the landfill up on the top. There's another parcel, and then you can just see the corner there, but that's Old Highway 91, and this is the Parowan landfill site. This is the Valley Heights subdivision here on the east. That's what Iron County, there's actually two distinct parcels. Iron County will deed to Parowan City, and it looks more like this. There's kind of this long skinny piece that runs north and south. that will help for various reasons in the future. And then primarily here, this is the landfill or the gravel pit that Iron County has used for many years, to which the city is planning on dropping their high water for aquifer recharge. No money will change hands. There's slightly fewer acres that Iron County is deeding than Parowan is deeding, but for the public benefit, we feel like this is good for both Parowan City and Iron County, the longevity of the landfill, and yeah, it just kind of makes sense that we own the parts that we're using. I don't know. And what do you want to add to that, Dan?
So if you scroll down just a little bit, so that it's important to recognize that we still need to do some survey work. We need to carve off the section on the east side where the public road is. It probably just needs to be carved off and dedicated as a road. Everybody can probably see it in their head, but there's an easement that goes, if you on the bottom of the picture there's a different parcel, but there's a road that climbs up that side that goes up to that parcel and then ultimately up to the city's water tank. So that easement's going to have to be defined. If it's not, that easement may already be defined in the legal, I'm not sure.
That has been defined.
It is defined already.
There is another bit that Iron County will probably need to fund it. So Dan is talking about
that road there.
this road right here.
So that easement, we just got to make sure that easement is in there. The road, which I can't remember what west that road is, but it needs to be carved off of the parcel and just dedicated as the public road that's there.
There's also an easement that we will need to
When it was a
define
city road and a
convey.
city parcel, it really didn't matter, but
Yeah, right.
the city's going to be on the hook for maintaining that road and having utilities in it and all of that stuff in the future. So now's the time to make that nice and clean. The other thing is the hill, which is north of the landfill. That's a antenna hill, where there is a couple of towers up there. InfoWest has a tower up there, and the city has antenna on there that it uses to read our utilities. We have a centrally read utility system, so instead of driving a truck around and reading meters, we read our meters from that. I don't think there's an easement
There is
for
not.
that road and those antennas, but we just got to make sure that's surveyed and added in. The city doesn't.
There is, that existing little 2-track, and
Yeah.
and Iron County will take care of that.
Just as long as there's an easement, so that the private property or the private operators of that have an easement to access their equipment, and that the city has an easement to access its equipment. That just has to be recorded on that, which technically will update the legal on this agreement. So I guess today it's not an action item for you guys to approve, but that legal will need to be updated with that easement and the road.
And I believe that's contemplated in the agreement.
So, yeah.
But yeah, so we have a few obligations. We'll need to get that easement taken care of. We'll probably need to get a refresh survey, and then I did verify that easement to the water tank and to that other owner is in place. So that's of record as of, I think, about 15 years ago.
So the only other thing that I would say is the county has worked well with the city on both of these parcels. We have both utilized them for the benefit of the citizens of Parowan and the citizens of Iron County, and that's ultimately what has been the thing that's been contemplated throughout this whole thing. How do we keep each entity whole? How do we ultimately benefit the citizens the best? That landfill is landfills are an asset, but we don't love them until we realize we can't live without them, and we have to have them. That landfill has benefited the city for a long time, and not just the city, but it's benefited all of northern Iron County. To try to establish a new landfill is nearly impossible. Just ask Davis County. I think it's Davis. They've been trying established theirs that was permitted that's been tied up in lawsuits for 10 years. There's no household trash that goes into that.
Was it better or worse than building a jail?
It's harder than building a jail, if that tells you anything.
Your frame of reference right there, I think.
So, and I think it's important to recognize that that landfill needs to live in harmony with the development that's going in and around it. And it has done for the most part. There's been occasionally some concern about blowing trash and things, and I know Bruce works on that and with the property owners around that. Since there's not household waste that goes in there, it's not an odor problem. It's just the longer it can be established and running. In fact, as the city, the county, whoever pulls material out of there, the deeper the hole, the longer the landfill life. It just seems best to have it operated by the county rather than owned by the city and operated by the county. So, and vice versa with the gravel pit. The county will still have access to get gravel out of that pit, and the deeper the hole, the more water we can recharge in that pit. So it's a true win-win, and we're going to continue to work together on both of them. So.
Bruce, how much deeper can that hole be made before you mine it out? Just out of curiosity.
Don't know. We took a track hole and dug as deep as we could, and there's still gravel there. It's big and it's bulky, so you could use it for riprap.
So there's, and I'm talking about the one in the city, the one we're trading for. So how much? So there's plenty of down there. You can just keep going.
Yeah, I think so. And when we talked about this the first time, I think you could mine it in sections, and then you could still use it for discharge.
Bruce, could you talk to how we've already been good partners with Parowan City on
we've kind of shared
this?
that pit for, when we do a crushing effort or something, we'll crush some, and they'll crush some, pay for it, and we basically just shared it as a resource for
Kind of get that economy of scale. Yeah.
as long as I can remember. I don't know.
And we can remove that material at no charge, right? Continue to do that. Okay.
There's a lot of good material at the landfill itself that the county would probably be that I'm going to be more interested in than that pit. So there may be a time, but I don't see it in the near future. We're going to try to excavate more of that stuff out of the landfill to increase our footprint for that. We re-permitted in 2023, and so in 2033 we have to re-permit the landfill in Parowan. And
That's just
we're currently working on
C&D.
elevating that dike between the subdivision. I think it's going to come up 12 feet
Over on the west side over here.
on the west side. So it'll come up and then there'll be a hill right in the center for now. But hopefully we can excavate into them trees and go south with it. We won't go clear over to those.
And that's a C&D pit only, right? No,
Yeah.
no household
And
trash.
the road that goes up to the towers, it isn't in the footprint of the landfill really anyway. I just see this as like Dan said, a win-win. I just can't imagine this being a bad thing for anybody. I just like him. It's hard. Yeah, he already said it's hard to open a new landfill. It's jail times 10.
So as far as it goes, you'll have your public hearing and decision on whether to allow the disposal of that. We'll move forward with that, but understanding that it's tied with that this agreement here, which is in your packet. It's all pretty straightforward. I try to keep things simple when I write them. But that being said, the agreement isn't on the agenda today, so it can be scrutinized still and changes. Dan, you had mentioned that the council will probably consider this week?
Yeah, no, we have a city council meeting this week. I wanted to see how this all played out, if there was going to be any changes or how the commission felt about it. We'll have it on the following agenda. 2 weeks from Thursday.
So quite a few steps to go through, but we've done the notice. Dan's made his notice. We are in a position where we feel like we can move forward with the approval for the disposal, if that's what the commission chooses. And then we just understand that we're going to be bound by this agreement. But that it's nearly, pretty much all of it is mutually beneficial. We'll have some expense for some of the survey work that will have to happen.
So we're just voting
Back to
on,
that other one, on the 300.
Oh,
pit,
yeah.
If you would. There's that 15 acres that is along there. And I did go in there and excavated down, and there's a lot of good gravel there too that the city could certainly get into. So I just think this will make gravel accessible for both of us for a really long time. And I mean, certainly we want to get that water in the ground. So there's one strip that goes along there that they could flip-flop if they ever wanted to. You could always have water going in and gravel pit usage.
The piece that runs north and south.
Because it comes in, the water comes in on the bottom corner of that. And you could just have a small dike that moved it. Hopefully, I guess the dream is that water will go, we have water to put in there.
Yeah. Get working on that.
We'll get it all at once, I think.
well, Dan and I were talking before the meeting. The key with these recharge projects is to have them done, and then when you do have the water, you're ready. You know, there might be years where you don't have any, but the key is to have them ready and ready to go when you do get it.
The pipe is in. The outlet is already installed in the gravel pit. We did have a separate agreement for that. We didn't have the cart in front of the horse, but we're now working on the diversion structure. We've had a horrible winter for water, but the silver lining is that we've been able to get a head start on that diversion. They weren't going to start on it till the spring, and they're pouring cement in the footings this week probably.
Wow.
So that'll wrap up this summer, and we can put water in there. High water as early as this fall, or usually it's mainly only going to be a spring thing where we put high water in there. The farmers take the bulk of it. But like Paul said, I mean, everybody's been dreaming about this for years and years and years. Steve Platt and Alma talking about it years ago, but it's been a lot of work to get it done. So to have a place to put it is the obviously the big step. So, and the deeper the hole, the more water we can put in there. When we have years like 2 years ago. So, any other questions for me?
No.
No, sir.
You have a public hearing now?
So the chair will declare a public hearing open for any comments on this. Please step forward and address the mic. Seeing none, we'll close that and go on to agenda item number 2. Public hearing, discussion, possible approval of a proposed zone change to Iron County zoning map, zone change from A20 to,
We need to vote on the first one.
is there an action item on that?
I was a little confused. Were you?
Oh, there wasn't an action.
Are we just voting to dispose of?
Yeah, this is just the disposal,
Yeah,
not
I'm so
the.
sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the
Sorry.
vote for the disposal, not the ultimate agreement.
Okay.
If that makes sense, that kind of opens
Okay.
the door so that Parowan City
All
can.
right. They can do their part, and then we can
Right.
come back and do ours. All
This
right,
was a weird
sorry.
one because we had to do it in about 4 different steps, and so we're on like step 3.
All right.
Yeah.
I will entertain a motion for disposal of a parcel of real property APN A-20 and A-3-1.
So moved, with the caveat that this might need to be mentioned, that that we need to carve off the east side of that property for a road dedication. Is that correct, Dan? Or did Dan leave? And then
I would also say subject to.
and then subject to we can remove material. The county can remove material at no cost.
Yeah, it's
Right.
mutually. And basically, to be bound by the agreement, because it contemplates that.
Okay. Is that the only 2 things that need to be mentioned? Is that we
Yeah.
good? So that's my motion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Now we can move on to number 2. All right. Let's see. So I'll go ahead and read that again. Discussion on possible approval of proposed zone change to the Iron County zoning map, zone change from A20 to industrial and LI light industrial of 123.28 acres Generally located on Iron Springs Road north of the Silver Hills Parkway in Cedar City. The applicant is VTRE Development, and it'll be presented by Brett.
Good morning, Commissioners. As was mentioned, we'll just kind of dive in a little bit more to where it's located. So we're just west of the Y there in Cedar City of Highway 56 and Iron Springs Road. So you've got Silver Hills Parkway kind of on the south side. And again, it's this about 123 acres on both sides of Iron Spring Road there that it covers. So here's the project and some of the surrounding things. The newest business out there, you've got the Hive Plastics that opened up recently just to the south. And then you've also got DeMille Turf to the east. So as far as zoning goes, again, current zoning on it is agriculture 20 acre with light industrial to the south, as well as some residential 5 acre there. You've got additional agriculture 20 acre to the north. About a half mile to the north, you've also got additional industrial zoning and light industrial zoning. And then to the west, you've got existing residential 1 acre zoning there. Again, the proposed zone change is for both light industrial and industrial. So the proposed light industrial is up against the residential 1 acre property to the west. So that would be about 41 acres of the total of 123 that would be to light industrial. And then the remainder would be for industrial zoning. So one of the things that I just wanted to mention as far as the zoning goes, oftentimes when people are looking at the A20 zone, they kind of assume that the A20 zone is strictly for farmland or for grazing, things of that nature. So you probably saw in the packet I just included a list of all of the uses for A20, light industrial and industrial. And obviously there's some fairly intense uses that are allowed in A20. I would say outside of the industrial zones, A20 is probably one of the most permissive zones as far as allowable uses. So, data centers, things of that nature, they're allowed in A20 as well. So just something to note that it's not necessarily just farmland that's allowed in the zoning. This just shows the master transportation plan. So you've got, and to me that does not look like a very good exhibit on here. I don't see a whole lot of color, but you've got Iron Springs Road as the primary access, 100-foot right-of-way. And there's going to be some additional widening occurring in the probably starting in the next couple months, to widen that to 1 lane each direction with a center turn lane. So that'll help with access as well. And then just wanted to note the Cedar Valley Belt Route. So there is belt route along the east end of this property, so the applicant's aware of that and would have to dedicate and obviously plan for that belt route that goes along there as well. There would not be any access off of the belt route into this property. Access would have to be taken off of Iron Springs Road, obviously just so that we can limit access so that it can be a good belt route and a good kind of byway. So as with all zone changes, we always look at these 13 evaluation criteria. So from staff's perspective, we've looked through all these criteria and feel that the project meets these evaluation criteria for the rezone. Again, just a quick overview. It is VTRE Development as the applicant. The project is a little over 123 acres. It's currently within the Tier 2 area of the general plan. This is a legislative decision, so the Planning Commission did hold a public hearing and a public meeting last week. I know a couple of you were there on Thursday. So they did recommend approval of that, of the zone change. There were, I think it was about 4 comments from the public that spoke on this item. Some of the concerns included increased traffic flow. One of them was with lighting. So really when it comes to kind of project-specific impacts, all of those would be looked at time of, a submittal for an actual whether it be different buildings, whatever the use is, we could definitely look to address those types of impacts when they come in for review at a later date. So,
Brett, isn't light industrial generally indoor too as well?
Yep, yeah. So
Which
that's kind of
should
one
make
of the
people that are bordering that feel better because it's indoor.
right. Yeah, no, whether indoor or screened really well. So that's kind of one of the key distinguishers with light industrial versus industrial is inside versus outside type uses. So, but aside from that, if there's any other questions for me, if not, we'll have a public hearing on it.
I don't have any. So, you have any?
No.
No, sorry.
Nope.
Declare a public hearing open. Anyone wishing to address this, step forward and state your name in the mic. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing.
Yeah, so I didn't have anything additional that I could think of to wrap up. If you did have any questions for the applicant, Tyler Williams is here representing VTRA Development if you had any questions for them. So
I don't think so. Not for me.
No. So I'll entertain a motion.
Right, I'll move for approval of zone change ordinance 2026-3 to the Iron County zoning map. Zone change from A20, agricultural 20 acre, to industrial and light industrial on approximately 123.28 acres, generally located on Iron Springs Road, north of Silver Hills Parkway, Cedar City, Utah.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, agenda item number 3 is possible approval of proposed development agreement ordinance 2026-4 between Iron County and Equestrian Trails Ranch LLC regarding the planned development of approximately 264 acres of undeveloped property generally located between 4,000 North and 4,600 North and 3,700 West and 4,400 West in Cedar City. The applicant is Equestrian Trails Ranch. It'll be presented by Brett again.
thank you, Chair. So just to give a visual for the description of where it was just located. So we've got Enoch City to the east, Cedar City to the south and southeast. So again, on 4,000 North, generally close to Mid-Valley Road and Lund Highway, just to get your bearings there. So here's the current zoning on the property. It is all R-half on the zoning. So you may recall about 2 months ago, I think it was in December, this zone change came before you. So there's 3 of these properties, about 140 acres, that was rezoned a few months ago. And then the other properties that are part of the total 264, those have been zoned R-half for at least about 20 years. So this is the proposed conceptual master plan, the exhibit that accompanies the development agreement. Generally, it's showing development on the south side of the Cedar Valley Belt Route that you can see curving through here from 4,000 North up to 3,700 West. So generally, they've got half-acre properties on the south side here, as well as some additional half-acre properties kind of close to the belt route. And then you've got larger properties to the east that are all an acre plus. Through the middle, you've kind of got a T that goes through the middle. There is a 100-foot non-standard roadway, and that's kind of the crux for this development agreement request, is that non-standard roadway section that they wanted to provide. So we'll kind of jump into that. So again, total across, it's both on both sides of the belt route. So it would be 2 dwelling units per acre maximum density across the site. So they would be utilizing a maximum density subdivision that's already permitted within the code. They are just including a lot of verbiage and stuff within the development agreement to codify a lot of existing standards that there are today. So that non-standard roadway that I was mentioning, that's shown down here on the bottom. So the main difference really is looking at a center landscaped median that they would like to include there, as well as having a borrow ditch, a landscape borrow ditch along both sides, as well as a 12.5-foot trail. So that would, the trail, the borrow ditches, the landscape medians, curbs, all of those items that are non-standard, those would be maintained by the homeowners association. So the only thing that would still be maintained by the county is basically the asphalt. So one of the things too that we wanted to mention, this was something that I was talking to Rich Wilson, the county engineer, about, but just on those edges, we'd of course want to make sure too that there's some type of curb, so that asphalt isn't just breaking off down into the borrow ditch. So that was one item that was noted. So again, with the maximum density subdivision, there would be a mix of different lot sizes, the smallest going down to 10,000 square feet. And again, that's in line and consistent with what's allowed with the maximum density subdivision. It would have centralized drainage. There'd be the 3 different retention ponds on the north side of the belt route. It would include all of the different walking and equestrian trails. You'd have the private open space and amenity area, a little bit under 14 acres there that's provided. But these are all, good amenities for that community to be able to provide good circulation, good pedestrian, good equestrian facilities and amenities for the residents there.
Before you move on there, on the cross section for the road, I know that we recently went through, redoing the road standards, but I don't think it contemplated having a median. I'm assuming Richard has looked at that and felt good about the design of it. Okay.
Yep. No, and that's a great point. So that was one of the planning commission's questions last week was, had Rich looked at this and did he feel comfortable with it? And he had. And I know he'd also mentioned that he had talked to Bruce as well, just talking about maintenance and plowing and things of that nature. And, ideally, when it comes to some of these subdivisions out here, there is still concern about, long-term maintenance of it. So there might even be things, that we may look to change in, the subdivision ordinance that we would bring back to the Planning Commission and Commission to try and address some of those concerns. But as far as this development agreement goes, there's been a lot of back and forth with the applicant. There's additional things like cattle guards that have been installed, because 4,000 North is a livestock trail, so we wanted to, prevent livestock from getting all up into the community. There's been talks of, shifting for secondary access purposes, having them look at improving 3700 West as a master plan roadway. There was talks of, having a kind of a road potentially parallel the belt route, but we, after discussion saw additional issues and concerns with that. So, they've agreed to push secondary access improvements to 3700 West. So there is, some good things that I think have come out of working on this development agreement.
And I'm sorry to interrupt again. On the belt route, there's not an exit anticipated in this development?
Correct. Yeah. So there would be access at 4,000 North and 4,400 West. There'd be an intersection there, and then there'd also be another one at 3,700 West. So yeah, there'd be no planned access from this development onto the belt route. Again, just I think similar, what we were talking about with the last project is, limited access to be able to have it be a good belt route and good access way. Keep the speeds flowing, at a good pace. So 4,000 North is a major arterial that would provide access, and then you've got 4,400 West and 3,700 West that would both be major collectors, both providing access into the overall master plan development site. There's an existing 27-inch sewer line on both 4,000 North and 3,700 West. And then an existing 18-inch water line on 4,400 West and an existing 12-inch water line on 4,000 North. So, again, kind of going back to just the zoning, that's there and the development. It's a big part of that is having the sewer and water infrastructure, that municipal level sewer and water infrastructure available that can support, a smaller lot, that's a half acre or, in this case, down to sometimes 10,000 square feet in some instances. So with development agreements in section 1742 of the code, it really goes through these kind of 6 items that are looked at. Some are requirements, and that's what, staff has ensured that, that it at least covered the minimum standards that we have put into code for development agreements. The one that, when it comes to development agreements is really probably that fifth one, that we're looking at is, based on the language in the development agreement. Again, a lot of times it's a give and take, and again, the request of a non-standard roadway, in exchange for some of the additional improvements that we're able to see in the community. Really, it's up to the commission to determine if those benefits in the development agreement are, if it contains outstanding features that, are kind of above and far and above, what we would get with our normal standard subdivision code, and if it, if you feel that those improvements that are in there advance the goals, that we have within the general plan and what we would like to see within the county. So that's my presentation. But if
I have one more question,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
that's fine.
They're not pursuing like a PID or an IFD on this, are they? Like any kind of
Currently,
structure?
there haven't been kind of open discussions on it. I do believe, Dallas, correct me if I'm wrong, I think there is kind of a paragraph in there that talks about if they do at some point in time pursue that type of
Trying to leave it
financing
open.
mechanism, that it leaves the door open to be able to
Okay.
do that if needed.
All right, the chair will declare a public hearing open at this time.
Sheriff Kent Carpenter, can you define what the non-standard road is, how it's not standard?
So for the non-standard roadway, it would be that landscaped median that they have, and then the trails on the side as well. So typically with the 100-foot wide right-of-way, we're just going to have more kind of curb, sidewalk, gutter, and asphalt paving. So no median, no sidewalks, things like that. So just an adjustment with more of the landscape median.
So does it still meet the requirement for fire trucks and ambulances?
Yeah. So it would still be a paved surface.
Yeah, but as far as the width, if you got vehicles parked on both sides of the road, is a fire truck or ambulance going to be able to get through?
Yeah, so there'd be no parking allowed on this roadway. So through that T there's very few lots that even front onto that 100-foot right-of-way, but yeah, there'd be no parking permitted on that 100-foot right-of-way section.
I think that you need to be very careful with this, because if you look like Ashdown Forest, for example, where they've got the roundabout there, they cannot get a fire truck or an ambulance around that roundabout. So I think that when you're taking into consideration, deviating from what our standard is, that you need to take into consideration whether emergency vehicles are actually going to be able to get in there or not. So.
David Burton, Perrin City Council. I just have a question for Brett. Is that 100-foot right-of-way standard? Okay, so what is your standard 100-foot or right-of-way?
So I wish Rich was here almost to answer some of this. He'd probably know better than myself. But typically with the 100-foot standard right-of-way, you're looking more at like Iron Springs Road. So you've really just got more of kind of a typical curb, gutter, sidewalk, and then pavement. So typically, I think ultimate with a 100-foot right-of-way, you've got 2 travel lanes each direction. So 4 lanes and then a shoulder as well.
So what's your standard?
Yeah.
Dallas Buckner, Go Civil. So our project as a whole is zoned for R1/2. So the standard road in R1/2 is I think it's a 50-foot right-of-way, 45-foot right-of-way with curb, gutter, and sidewalk. Well, so not for curb, gutter, sidewalk, though. So for the R1/2, the development standards from the county's ordinance, we have to have, I think it's a 50-foot right-of-way and with curb, gutter, and sidewalk. And so what we're asking for through this development agreement is a non-standard 100-foot right-of-way where we're creating a a new section that the developer wants to build that is not a 50-foot wide curb gutter sidewalk road. And so when we talk about it being a 100-foot right-of-way and the standard of a 100-foot right-of-way, a 100-foot right-of-way from the county standpoint is a major arterial.
That's like Westview Drive.
Correct.
Where that's 100 foot there, I
And-
believe, and it allows for trails and then 3 lanes and
Right.
all
But
that, right?
we have just increased the right-of-way width and developed this cross-section to make something that the developer wants to see there. It's not a major arterial 100-foot right-of-way. It's an expanded right-of-way to allow trails on the sides with medians and to accommodate the minimum asphalt width that would typically be required on a R1/2 road.
So it just gives them flexibility to do what they want.
Correct, yeah. And so I just wanted to clear that up, that it's not Westview, it's just a widened neighborhood road.
To the sheriff's point, I mean, have you contemplated, a big fire truck being able to make a turn or those
Yeah,
kind
so
of things?
the way that we developed is we took the required asphalt width that's typically required for R1/2 roadways, and we basically just split that asphalt in half, and then we put bar ditches and channels and trails and then medians in the middle to get to 100 foot. But every road intersection that we have turnouts with kind of bold noses on all the medians, and so there's interconnectivity, and it's the same amount of asphalt that is going to be in every other road that's in the phase. And so I think from a circulation standpoint, there's not roundabouts, there's not going to be anything that's going to impede function through the subdivision layout.
Hey, that just answered some questions I had. Thank you.
Any other comments? Seeing none, we'll declare the public hearing closed.
So I can't remember if I mentioned it before, but again, this one did have a public hearing with the Planning Commission last week as well, and they recommended approval of this development agreement as well. So, any additional questions for me?
Nope.
There was one additional thing too at the Planning Commission that was discussed. So and it's currently not in the text of the development agreement, but the applicant would like to add a provision for animal rights. So nothing unique. They would just like to codify the existing current animal rights for the R1/2 zone for these properties as well. So if there's something that changes in the future, this development agreement and the property with it would basically have the animal rights of today locked into the development. So that's something that we would like to add, and that's something that the Planning Commission made as part of their motion as well, to include that provision for animal rights.
You got that?
I think it's Paul's turn.
All right. Man, I'm off today then.
Ready?
All right, I'll entertain a motion.
All right, I'll make a motion that we approve the proposed development agreement, ordinance 2026-4, between Iron County and Equestrian Trails Ranch, LLC, regarding the planned development of approximately 264 acres of undeveloped property, generally located between 4,000 North and 4,600 North and 3,700 West and 4,400 West, Cedar City, Utah, and add in that they would like to maintain the animal rights provision and rights for that development moving forward.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, move on to item agenda number 4. We'll open for public comment at this time. Anybody wishing to make a public comment can come forward, state your name. Seeing none, we'll move on to number 5. For possible approval of an MOU between Iron County and Emergency Management and Utah Department of Health and Human Services.
George, you took off your hat and changed your hair.
Look, my hair's not great.
You grew hair.
I did. Cassie Meredith, Iron County Emergency Management. So I've got this MOU here. Do you guys all have a copy of it, or would you like a copy to review?
We got it in our packet.
You've got it in your packet?
I'm
Okay.
good then.
Okay. So George was at LAPC this morning, so he asked me to come and just present this to you guys. MOU between Department of Health and Human Services and Iron County for an asset called an ambubus. How much has he told you about this? He told me just go present it.
Well,
but
I
I'm
know,
prepared to
I know
answer
about the
any
ambubus
questions.
in detail.
Okay.
So if I can help.
Okay.
clarify if-
I'm prepared to answer any questions that you have. So this will be the Department of Health and Human Services purchased a kit that will retrofit a school bus, which George has agreed to acquire from Iron County School District in one of their buses that they're going to retire. And this kit will retrofit the bus to be an 18-person, basically, ambulance in the event of a mass casualty incident. The state of Utah already has one up in northern Utah in Box Elder County, and so had wanted to have this asset down in southern Utah that it can be deployed if needed quickly in southern Utah. So, any questions?
And I believe
Center.
So I believe that the agreement with the Iron County School District for the bus is cost neutral. I believe there's any cost to Iron County. The upfit and everything else to turn it into basically a giant ambulance, I believe, is all covered by the grant.
It is, well, and it's no damage to the bus, so the bus can be turned back into a school bus if needed at any time. Yeah.
Being retired.
Yeah.
I told them that we wouldn't accept this unless they painted it army green with litters in it, just like MASH.
Yeah.
I want a retro MASH
Exactly.
to remind me of my childhood bus.
I think Mike wants all the gum from the seats.
No.
As far as staffing goes and stocking the bus, George has been talking with Gold Cross Ambulance. And so my assumption is that those details will be worked out further into the commitment. This MOU is just establishing authority and an agreement between the state and Iron County that they have the kit, we have the bus, and we're going to put them together.
Yeah, and then Gold Cross will provide the personnel and supplies and everything. We're not going to have to run an ambulance service.
We won't run an ambulance service. The state, I did meet with
Becomes
Michelle
part of
Hale from the state on Friday just to get caught up on this. And they did talk about, so you need a CDL to drive the bus. So they did talk about the state helping get somebody a CDL license, possibly me, because I happen to be an EMT. And so as an extra asset to the county.
So if it were dispatched to another county, then Gold Cross
Depending on
or yourself?
Gold Cross or myself,
somebody.
yeah. Depending on who's available, what kind of incident there is, if Iron County resources and Gold Cross resources are available.
And I think we already have all those MOUs in place between all the region. That's already anticipated.
There is also a section in here that George and the state, that was important to them, that this bus be available to EMAC, which is our agreement, state-to-state emergency agreement, that it will be available to our neighboring states if we need it, or if they need it.
Great.
Questions?
Nope.
Okay.
Thank you.
This is the official one.
Okay,
Right.
yeah.
Entertain a motion.
So I'd move for approval of an MOU between Iron County Emergency Management and the Utah Department of Health and Human Services in regards to the, what did you call it?
Ambubus.
The ambubus.
Sir.
Great.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, guys.
And Cassie, I'll make sure I email that to you and George after it's executed. So, okay.
So move on to number 6, approval of a letter of relinquishment of a UDOT permit.
Is this the billboard? Or is this something else?
I don't know what this is. Do you know what this is, David? Is that the billboard?
David Burton, Parowan City Council. This is the billboard that's on the Adams property north of Cedar along the freeway just before you get into town coming from the north. And this is grandfathered. It's in the county, actually. It's on Parowan City's annexation boundary, but it's in the city. And this is a city passed billboard ordinance a year or so, or no, it's been a few years ago.
October 4th, 1977, it looks like.
Well, no, this the one we passed another billboard
okay.
ordinance that was just a couple of years ago.
Okay.
And we basically banned billboards in the city limits. But this is grandfathered in, and it was originally agreed to in, what'd you say, 70-something was the last time it was ever addressed. So it just needs to be readdressed, I guess, is what I gathered from Dan. I spoke to him a minute about it. But
So when I talked about this a little bit just in my report, because Dan and I and John met and kind of talked with this. So is the county just relinquishing to the who's the county relinquishing to Parowan City or to the state?
It occurs to me I probably should have written this letter, but I haven't. So, are you going to try, Dan?
yeah.
Okay. I mean, I'm happy to write it in whatever way. It kind of makes sense that the county not be involved with this anymore.
Well, right, and I think that it would probably still be the city.
Yeah,
It's grandfathered in.
That was my understanding, because
So-
the city has control over the content. The Adams and the Adams are still good with the agreement.
You know what, David? I think I think the commissioners could go ahead and
Okay.
make a motion to approve the letter of relinquishment and just, give me the charge
Yeah,
to figure
because
out how
it
to.
would go to I'm sure the city, and the agreement that was the initial intent should just be, continued.
Because I think it's probably clear
The
that
property owners are
county
still in
doesn't want anything to
agreement,
do with it.
and I guess
Yeah.
the city, as long as it's the chamber
Well,
that's actually.
I would say they need to put a caveat and tell us where to find the cinnamon
That's
rolls.
what I was going to say. If we approve this, will you really tell us where they are?
My wife makes the best cinnamon.
Well,
so I'll tell
okay.
you that.
And if we could put your address
on the
public
side,
record.
then.
At the very least, we'll show up in your kitchen this afternoon.
Okay. No, she does. So, but I think that the
We were all
original
thinking the
property
same
owners
thing.
are still good.
You read it every time.
It's the Chamber of Commerce that's actually
Okay.
that
Yeah.
It's a
promotes it.
Well, and I think,
Gets
like
you
I
to
said,
tell.
the details of
You're
the
looking
letter
all
are
over
probably a little less important than the fact that the county is willing to relinquish whatever
Yeah.
control that we have. And I think what we need to do is satisfy what UDOT requires for that sign. It's a non-conforming sign, but it's grandfathered in because it's so old.
Right.
So
Right.
The county, we didn't know about it until Dan brought it to us, and he didn't know about it until UDOT brought it to him. And so it's just something that this should be easy to clean up.
Yeah. Okay. If it were, in the city limits, it'd be different because there is that recent ordinance
yeah.
that has jurisdiction over that. So anyway,
Okay. Thank you, David.
sorry that I wasn't more helpful.
Good.
I feel bad I hadn't written it
Tell
already.
your wife start baking cinnamon rolls quick.
Oh, there he
Yeah.
is.
All right, I'll entertain a motion.
Do we want to let Dan speak to
We'll
it?
just
Did I miss anything?
No,
Oh, we're you're gonna approve your motion.
we're moving on without you.
Questions for me? I got all kinds of
Yeah,
information.
who do I make the letter to?
when will it be
Bo was chatting me
updated?
off. What's that?
When will it be updated with an address of where to get the cinnamon roll?
Well, here's the thing. Everybody asks, where is the place? And it's by definition not a place, because we can't. It's a citywide cinnamon roll campaign. We can't actually promote a specific entity. But I've said this to a million people.
We did say we were going to show up in David Burton's kitchen.
Somebody should make a gigantic fake cinnamon roll and put it on top of a building and say, here is where you get your cinnamon rolls. And you'd sell 1 million cinnamon rolls.
Wait, so is the letter to UDOT?
The letter is to UDOT.
Okay.
And I have the guy's name. He's the permits officer. He's the one that has initiated all of this. Apparently, he's been bugging Jet at the city for more than a year to get this thing cleaned up. So she just involved me a couple months ago. And
So I would suggest, commissioners, that you just do the verbiage right off of the agenda item and then give me the charge to make the details work.
I did put in a draft letter. Obviously, that was just to save you some time.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve a letter of relinquishment of a UDOT permit as John Whitaker will produce.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll move on to number 7, approval of a memorandum of understanding between Iron County and the Daughters of the Utah Pioneers regarding ongoing storage of historical artifacts in the basement of the Iron County Courthouse in Parowan, Utah.
Okay.
We are very excited to have this storage, and we thank Mike for helping us get that. And,
That was easy.
and we've got our stuff moved in there, and we're with our curator here. We're just really having a fun time with that. And now we've got a memorandum of understanding, which the ISDUP, the up north, wants us to have. And so we are thankful. We looked at this over, and we think that that is very good, and we will accept that. Do you all have one of those memorandums?
No, and in fact, they don't, because I only drafted it kind of during the meeting.
Oh.
But we understand the concept, and we'll approve it.
So just a couple of details from it. I've actually asked Sam to review it, and he was okay with it. Basically, just like it's happening, the storage is continuing to be permitted. It began in October of 2024. There's no assumption of security. It's not locked away from other county department stuff. And the DUP will be responsible for the placement and removal of all stored items. And I didn't write this in here, but I think it's given that if you need to rotate items in and out, we're open during business hours, and we'll help you get access to it. And then finally, severability. Either party may sever this or terminate this MOU with 30 days notice. Upon said termination, the DUP will have 60 days to remove the stuff, and it's open-ended on purpose. So that's all I have to say about that.
We thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, we were told that before, and I don't know if that was written down, that we would have access to come and go during business hours.
And I'm happy to put that on the agreement as well. So
Okay. Thank you. And when do you want us to sign this? You said before we leave.
Well, yes, that'll work. Only because the signature page is on one side, and I've got plenty of room to add that sentence on the front.
Okay. Thank you. Do you want us to just wait here then?
You know what? I would go ahead and just, once the commissioners approve it, I would just break your pen out and sign that copy you've got in your hand.
And give it to him. Oh, my pen's in my purse. Oh. Thank you. Oh, thank you, Ken.
All right, I will entertain a motion then.
Oh, I will move for approval of a memorandum of understanding between Iron County and the Daughters of the Utah Pioneers regarding ongoing storage of historical artifacts in the basement of the Iron County Courthouse in Parowan, Utah.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, we'll take that.
Okay, and then Ellen, thank you.
Yes.
I will email you a scanned version of this when it's complete.
Thank you.
And I've got a heap of stuff for you to sign, Commissioner Robinson, so
Okay.
don't run off.
All right. Number 8 is possible possible deferral of property taxes on APN D-502-11.
So we have had an uptick of folks seeking deferrals, which I think kind of speaks to the broader economy and pain. We've had a few years where we haven't had to do one. But this individual had been incarcerated for 5 years. They had put their daughter in charge of their affairs, and she took care of everything but not the property taxes. And so this individual has some pretty severe handicaps, but got a job mowing under the solar panels at one of the solar farms, and has already made 3 payments. But as a reminder, the deferral process is such that once you get 5 years behind on your taxes and you're going to lose it to tax sale, it's an opportunity for certain individuals to be able to have 1 more year to make those payments. We normally set up a payment plan. They enter into a contract. That'll be one of the things for you to sign today if it's approved, and then they have 1 more year to get that taken care of. This individual's kind of got a jump start, and it's been a very traumatic thing for them to learn that they were going to lose their house, and so they went out and got them a job in spite of their challenges, and you know, there's a couple of things. I'm just going to kind of say this for the record, and you all can change how we do it, but I would warn against a bad precedent. We don't do this for land only. It's only to save a home. It's got to be a fairly compelling reason, and I just didn't think about it. Isn't necessarily good enough, but also, it's from the county's perspective. There are requirements that they have to give, as far as, you know, what assets do you have? Is the lien holder okay with this? If there is a lien holder, you know, can family help out? They have to write a letter stating, you know, why they feel like they need this. So it's a fairly high bar, and we've had to turn away a few folks that were quite upset this year that we didn't allow. One was land only. One has a lien holder, and the lien holder isn't okay with it, so they can't move forward, and that's the one you're looking at there, Commissioner. I try not to mention a name or a gender or anything, but anyway, that's what I have on this one. And this person has been they've made 3 payments since, I think they were released from prison on like December 10th or something like that, and have immediately been carving away at it. So I don't think they'll take the full year. We have some where we're a little nervous about whether they will, but this person's been fairly proactive. Did you have anything to add on that, Nicole?
This is not his first time to go to tax sale. So.
Yeah, and I could never find a record where he had done a deferral.
He did in 2014.
Okay, I didn't see it there in the records. So
we won't.
Will you come up to the microphone?
No, he's just one of ours that typically goes every 5 years, and we did do a deferral for him in 2014. So up to you guys, but if you approve it, we just cannot remove him until we have the signed contract by you and by him. So,
Yep. So if it's approved today, we'll ask the commissioners to sign it, and then I'll go track him down, and we'll get a signature out of him. So.
Okay.
As far as it goes, I feel pretty good about this.
I think if he's, you know, making the effort, I feel like giving him the benefit of the doubt. But I'm aware of setting precedent and how dangerous that is. But with that, I'd make a motion that we approve the deferral of property taxes on APN D-502-11.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So now we'll review the commission assignments and boards for 2026. Is there any discussion on this?
I've got some.
I've got a little bit too.
You know what? Hey, can you just hang on? I'll just update them as we go.
Okay.
Let me just pull this out.
Commissioners, do you mind if I update you on something regarding boards that might?
Absolutely, that'd be helpful.
Is that okay? Okay. So, if you remember, we have our we get $200,000 a year from the state through the Rural Communities grant, or the Rural County grant, forgive me, and they were withholding money until we took our county commissioner, Mike Blake, off that committee because they felt that that body recommends to the commission, and it was a conflict of interest. So we put Luke Little on that. Well, before those state requirements even existed, Cedar City and Iron County had a joint board called the Cedar City Iron County Economic Development Advisory Committee. It's not a public body, it's just an advisory committee, and that was made up of the different taxing entities. So water, school district, city, county. And so when the state had this required board, they said, well, let's just have our existing board wear both hats. And what that has done is it's just caused some confusion and issues with that board. And so what we've decided to do is, rather than have them wear two hats, we're going to separate those out. So Luke will sit on the state required one, and we are going to ask for Mike Blake to come back on the city county one, and we're just going to hold those two boards separate rather than having them wear two hats. That was kind of a fire hose.
Got me out of a meeting.
I know. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I was going to bring that to you and I'll bring that to you for approval on the next meeting when I come do my update, as well as some solar stuff. But I just wanted to kind of more give you a heads up. Hopefully, did my explanation make sense to you?
Yes.
What the
As long as that gets rid of the conflict, then.
Yeah. And by putting Luke on the other one, that gets rid of the conflict. And then the other one is technically a city ordinance board, but it's a joint board that's advisory from Central Utah Water, School District, County, and the city. So anyways, sorry I didn't have a chance. I was going to bring it next month, and I thought, since I'm here and you're talking about boards, I might as well bring that to your attention now. So forgive me for interjecting, but thank you.
Oh, that makes sense.
Thank you.
So, David, are we going to have to create, so we're going to have to bifurcate that board and basically create two boards?
No, it's already created. What
Right.
we've been doing is we've just been combining and having the same board wear both hats.
Right. I just like, as far as our, just as far as our, I guess, responsibility structure, we may have to, that's not going to do anything on your end. We may just have to.
No, because are you still going to be the commissioner over economic development? So I don't think it will change anything, but I don't know all of the different boards that you guys sit on.
Would have just put me back on that board. I just won't be a part of the grant process.
Yes, exactly. Okay. That's right. Luke will now take the place on the state required county board.
Gotcha.
And you'll take the place on the city ordinance board, which has all the taxing entities. And technically that one isn't a board, it's an advisory committee. So if, tax questions or incentive questions or economic development questions come up, it just serves as a way to bring all the taxing entities together to talk about potential projects coming to the area.
Is the one on the screen the correct one? Is this what we're talking about?
Yes, that's the one. So that's the county one that's required by the state to get that funding. So that's the one that Luke will still sit on. And then the other one isn't technically a county board. It's technically a city advisory committee that the city by ordinance requests all the taxing entities to come on to just make.
So we wouldn't even have to do that. That would be basically a city appointment, not a
exactly.
County appointment.
Well,
Got it.
What is done on your end is each taxing entity, their board chooses who they want to have represent them on that. So at the next meeting, I'll have you approve this state required one, as well as have you as a board approve who from the county commission you want to represent on that advisory committee. Historically, it's always been the person over economic development. So I assumed it would be you, but you guys are free to change that up if you don't want to do it and one of you want to do it. But yeah, hopefully that's clear as mud for you. And I'll send stuff to you, John, as well, to get that on the agendas.
We do have that on our non-delegated each meeting. And actually, this agenda item here would allow for it as well. So, if y'all are ready for that, you
to just do it now. Let me just look right here. The only changes on this one is well, that says Ryan Riddle. It was Ron Riddle. That should be Waldo Galan, who will be serving now as the new council member. And let me make sure if everyone else.
Another Ron Riddle on there that you might want to change.
Oh, yeah. We're going to get rid of that change on there.
So, what about this SEU business resource?
So what has happened is at least the titles, the only state required titles on there are a municipal representative, which Molly Halterman is fulfilling. Because what they did is before I got here, they meshed the two boards together, and because both boards have some crossover and some not crossover. So the ones from the state that are required is Workforce Services, which would be Amy Graff. Oh, well, James Molinol's still going to be on this board, but if you look, Amy Graff's already down there. I don't know, the titles are all mixed up on the side there. Why don't you just clear all the titles on the side, and I'll tell you who to put in for which ones on the state requirement, and that'll make it life easier. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so Molly Halterman is going to serve as the municipal rep. Amy Graff is the Workforce Services rep. Let's see. Jeffrey Chestnut is serving as the public representative from the public, a public member. And then Lucas Little is going to be the county representative. And then the rest are just other. You have to have a minimum of 5 on there. Oh, and then there's a private sector rep, which is actually, I apologize. Jeffrey Chestnut is going to be the private sector rep. And a member of the public is going to be, sorry, I'm definitely in my 40s now. I'm having to squint at this. Is our chair, Joni Anderson. Thanks. Thanks. I only meant to inform. I wasn't planning on having that approved on the fly, but if you guys can and are able, that's great.
All right, and so these other folks?
They're just they're other reps. So we have a minimum of 5 required by the state, and then we can have additional as we see fit.
We've got Waldo in there twice.
Yeah, you can get rid of Waldo. I think it's because Riddle was on there twice.
On there twice, I think that's why.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then technically I'm not a board member. I'm just obviously the staff liaison for that. But
so besides you, we've got 1, 2, 3, I guess, okay, 5.
So there's the 5 required, and then we can have other as well. And that's who some of those other ones are fulfilling. We likely, from the state required. So let's see, for example, I think you're fine to approve it like that. We may remove some of those others when we do the split for the city one, but I think you're okay to approve them. And that way, if they want to sit on both, they can. You're the only one that can't sit on both.
Right.
So. Okay.
Say that one more time.
Oh, I was just saying we can leave the others, and if they choose not to sit on this board when we split it out, that's fine. The only one that couldn't sit on both was Commissioner Blake.
Okay, and I would suggest too that we update the appointed dates and expiration dates.
I have those. I was going to send them. Yeah, today I only intended to inform you, and then I was going to send you the updates of those.
I would suggest then that maybe we ask the commissioners to take action at another meeting.
I agree with that. Yeah.
We can get our waterfowl in alignment.
Yeah, I agree. I'd rather sing you the perfectly updated one with all the terms and all of that. So my apologies. My intent was only to inform today, to give you a heads up for a future meeting. So
I'm just going to leave it like that, Mike, and or David, whenever you get back and present it during the non-delegated, we'll officially vote on it.
okay, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Okay, so
Okay.
I've got a couple
You
of
had
changes.
comments?
So, John, you need to take out Brian Theriot and add Darren Bushman
Okay,
as
yep.
the 5-county AOG.
Not very often does this happen, but I'm way heavy on that one. I did it while we were talking.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I did it while we were talking.
And then library, bookmobile, Steve Decker retired. And I texted Paul Bittman, and he gave me the updated. Let's see. Steve Decker was replaced by Dallin Alcott.
Okay.
Dallan. Alcott is Olcott.
Like that?
I guess I can't read it
Can't
from
read
here.
it. It's too small.
That's right.
And then Eric Bonzo retired and was replaced by Jeff Lennett, Lennett, for the regional wastewater.
Oh, it's ERT. He's an old helicopter repair guy. Worked with Metalcraft. It's Leonard, Jeff Leonard. I just don't know him.
Oh, Leonard. Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, must have auto corrected on him or something. So it's not Leonard, it's Leonard.
Yeah, I just happen to
You
know
sure?
him personally. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he's the one that took Eric.
He tells good stories.
Okay, all
Yeah.
right. It must have done an autocorrect. Let's see. And then on my assignment, CDG, I'm not on the CDBG board anymore.
Okay.
I am on the UAC and public health, so. That's the 3 changes on mine. Or several, whatever.
So I've got a change request on the library as well. So Mr. Cousins is the liaison to the library board. Right now, our jail meetings conflict with the library board meetings. And they reached out wondering if they could get a different representative from the county, just somebody that would be available to attend their meetings, because they literally coincide with our jail construction meetings that have to take precedent to that. I'm not sure who.
I don't like the way you're looking at me.
Well, so
I would actually pay you money to take this on.
I mean, is
that's not inappropriate? And I've attended the jail meetings, but I don't think I'm needed at the jail meetings.
So is there somebody? Well, and I don't want to. I guess and I haven't had this conversation with the other elected officials in the building, but is there somebody that would be less busy or more? I mean, and it really narrows down. I mean,
They're not
you
here to
and
defend themselves.
yeah, no one's here to defend themselves. You and Luke and Nicole and Carrie,
Karsten. Would you like us to have that discussion?
Can we have that discussion? But just, that they would just like somebody that can attend their board meetings, and their board meetings coincide with our jail construction meetings.
Weekly?
No,
they're
quarterly.
They're monthly or quarterly.
Yeah, what used to be monthly, and I told them they should go quarterly or semi-annually. But
And actually, I just as I have housekeeping here under yours, Commissioner Cousins, I've got Adams and Patricia Tompkins, but no title, and that's not ringing a bell with me. Does that make any sense to you?
So
blank one there for you.
Patricia Tompkins is the bookmobile person.
Oh, we just had a bunch of them.
I don't know.
Oh, it just takes because Corey Adams, that just goes down a line because it was Steve Decker / Corey.
Adams, yeah.
But Adams is Corey's.
Does Patricia want to stay? Do you want to keep Patricia?
Yeah,
Patricia
she's
there?
still there.
Okay,
I believe. And then, just change that to.
Okay, Dallin Alcott and
Dallin.
Patricia
Yes.
Tompkins.
Yes,
Okay,
correct.
great.
Any other updates, Mike?
We've got a line there, job service, and it's blank.
CJC is blank also on there.
So on the Frontier Homestead,
Change that.
Gianni Julander has been the director there. She just moved on to the Coral Pink, so she's no longer there. I don't know that position. Well, I know that position hasn't been filled.
Okay.
But Gianni won't be there with the Frontier Homestead anymore.
Okay.
Also, Chamber of Commerce. Chris McCormick's no longer there. That would now be Tessa Douglas. Planning and zoning would now be Brett instead of Reed.
Yeah, I made that change.
And I think that's it.
All right, so we're going to just leave job service and Frontier Homestead blank for the time being.
Yeah.
Fine. I just
And on the Forest Service, you can put Kevin Wright. Keep going up, scroll up, right there.
Okay. WRIGHT.
Yep. Okay, any other changes or discussion on this?
No, I think I'm caught up.
You're caught up, Paul?
Mm-hmm.
And Mike, you're still doing the NACO Justice and Public down at the bottom?
Yes.
Do I need to make any changes yet, Mr. Robinson?
Not yet.
Okay.
Hopefully that'll change next week.
Oh, the chair. Yes. Let's just assume I can find you.
Right there.
Oh, right there. All right, is that looking a little better? And if you have changes throughout the year, especially if ones that don't need to be talked about, just let me know. Or if you want to bring it up in a meeting. I mean, we do this once a year to try and, as housekeeping, but if you've got a change or if you guys decide, hey, I want to change this assignment, then.
So there's no action on that, right? We just
No,
go
this
on.
is administrative
Okay,
stuff.
so now we'll move on to Jennifer with personnel.
Well, do you all want to, let's do, if we could, do a little update on, just go through the boards.
Okay.
And I say this as if it's easy, but this is actually fairly long. ARB, Jen. That's, that right?
And then as far as Justin Goodwin goes, if you want to just put, we basically just have Bruce cover all road
Okay.
and landfill. So I don't know if we even need to have a road on there.
I was just looking for landfill. We don't,
He's just public works director, so he covers both of those.
oh, he's in there twice. I see what you're saying. I'm so sorry. Okay.
No worries.
The Ag Protection Board, this is not one that we do. The E&I Conservation District does this. This is my last known update on this. There's your Bookmobile Board. That look correct, Commissioner?
I think so.
And again, if you have any updates, it's good to, the Boundary Commission is only formed if needed. What's that, Jeannie? Oh, well, we've got them on our screens too, so, yeah.
Well, I haven't pushed my button, but that's,
Oh,
you're good.
okay.
I can read these.
COA, Lois Bullock, Steve Davis, Arlen Grimshaw, Kathy Jennings, Mark Jennings, Robert Rasmussen, Bill Paddock.
Yeah, I don't know of any changes, but I'll follow up on that one. It's been a while.
I imagine Robert Rasmussen probably hasn't been serving for a while.
Yeah, I'll follow up with Stephanie. I don't know that we've really addressed that since Stephanie took over.
Yeah, well, and some of those are well past due. Yeah. Health Insurance Committee. You haven't been doing it, have you, Jeannie? Oh, God. Them's fighting words, too.
And then replace Julie Sanders with Lori Neighbors.
Everything else looked pretty good, Jen?
Road department's also changed. I'll have to get with you on who they will.
Okay, yeah, if you would, just let me know. This isn't one that this is one that each department head assigns, so it's not really something the commission has to make assignments for. This is correct. They meet once a year. They met last month. Kim and Brandon have been good well, all three of them have been good. We usually feed them lunch. Economic Opportunity Board, that's the one we talked about. LEPC, probably need to make a change there eventually. Rob Dotson. Carlos Medina, is that right, Mike?
Not sure. George would know that. They've actually...
They're meeting right now.
That's going on this morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need to make a note. The Mountain View Special Service District, they're the ones that came in a few meetings ago. And you all voted on it. I need to make sure that this is updated here.
Is that Mountain View Special Service District or Escalante Valley?
This one's Mountain View. Escalante Valley was the one that was here last time, and that was the Housing Commission. This is the Special Service District for the roads out by Bridle Path West.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. Planning Commission. Is that correct?
Looks right.
Is
Yeah.
I didn't know Jared was serving on that too.
chair and vice chair correct, or is that switched?
Eric's the chair. Eric's the chair, isn't he? He was conducting the meeting.
Conducting the meeting.
I'm not sure who the vice is. Who do you know?
Michelle was sitting next to him, but I don't know if she had.
Well, if you,
I think she was last. I doubt whether she'd be vice again if she was chair last time. I think. I'm not sure. Do you know, Brent?
Vice chair, I don't know.
Or Brett? Not Brent, Brett. Sorry.
Eric's always been there, so I'm...
okay. I didn't realize Jared Christensen was doing double duty. Restaurant Tax Board, Mike, does that look? Julie?
It's yeah. It's fine.
Okay.
I'm just trying to remember if Julie was up, but I don't remember.
Yeah, and one thing we haven't done a great job is having those dates.
There's been some there's been some change in both boards, tourism and restaurant. I don't remember. I'll get with Maria and make sure that that's still
Okay. Commissioner Cousins, Southwest Behavior?
That's correct.
Okay. That is still correct there. Danny Hewlett, Val Williams, D.O. Jones, and Wade Gale. They've been just as an update, they've gotten their books in much better order and haven't been getting in trouble with the state. Our own Joseph in the assessor's office has been helping them. He lives over there. So I thought that was a pretty good success story. I roped him into it. Sport.
Okay, tourism.
Yes.
Gianni is, and there was a, now it got, come on, I'll tell you after. I know, but I can't remember.
Okay.
There's a switch there.
The rest look good?
The rest fine, yeah.
Terry's resigned on that board, and I've got a new one that I want to suggest. But
is that one that we appoint?
yes,
Or you appoint?
the commission appoints. Andy McCrae is there. Tyler Allred, Tyler Melling, David Harris, Paul Nelson, Spencer, Paul. I'm the liaison. Yeah, that's correct. But we need to change that one up for Terry.
Weed board.
I could bring that up right now if you want.
Yeah, I
just
think
take
you're
care of
doing
it.
well with
I
him.
mean, I would like to propose that they're going to change their bylaws to where they're going to have a majority of that board be elected officials. But I would like to propose that we appoint Steve Nelson, the mayor, on that board. I think a lot of them could do a great job. It's just, I think, longevity is really important in that position, and I think the possibilities of that happening with Steve would be probably higher than maybe the others. Just there's some unknowns. So, are you guys good with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, Mayor Steve Nelson.
Have you talked to him?
Yeah.
So I think you're actually good to do a vote on that if you would like.
So I'll make that motion.
I'd entertain a motion for a new member of the Water Conservancy District.
I'll propose Mayor Steve Nelson from Cedar City fill that spot.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Weed board.
I'm not
There's
aware
some
of
old
any
dates.
changes. Yeah, there's some old dates there. We need to. I'll address that with Paul and see what
Okay.
we've got.
Yeah, and as you were able to get those commissioners, just bring them up during that non-delegated, and we'll make those updates. So,
Okay.
and that's it.
I'm going to attempt to before
Oh.
we finish.
Okay.
One more change.
You.
Hey. So Gianni, we're just updating boards. Who are we gonna replace Gianni with in TRT? Yes. And then is restaurant tax, is it good as is?
Yeah, it's good as is.
Okay.
But we do need to replace.
I just texted Steve Nelson. I said, "Congratulations, you just have another 3-hour meeting a month." Is that a good way to,
Hope you're okay with that.
Oh, that's
No,
right.
he's okay. I talked to him. But it is a long meeting.
Oh.
But are we
Sometimes 4 hours.
to replace Gianni with Catherine? Okay, I'm gonna do it. Okay. Okay, thanks. Okay, bye. Okay. So that was Gianni's spot, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna move to replace Gianni Julander with Catherine Ross.
She spells it with a K, right?
Yes.
So
All right.
I moved.
Paul, you want to
I
second
motioned.
Oh, second. Sorry.
that? It's been moved and seconded to place Catherine Ross on the Tourism Advisory Board. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, so Jet Smith is also, she termed out. But that position, Maria hasn't reached out to the candidate yet on that position, but Jet timed out.
Okay.
Other than that, it's good.
Okay. And what I'll try and do is maybe I'll email you this Excel file so you've got it for reference.
That'd be good. All right. Any other discussion or motions on that? Okay.
Good progress.
Jennifer, I think we're ready for you.
Thank you and good morning. In the Attorney's Office, Dallin Brooks has completed all tasks and requirements to receive a promotion from a full-time Deputy Attorney 2 to a full-time Deputy Attorney 3, effective 2/15/2026. In the Sheriff's Office Patrol, Hunter Fales was selected from the most recent competitive interview and selection process to backfill the vacant full-time deputy position, effective February 2nd, 2026. And then Michael Sanner has completed all tasks and requirements to receive a promotion from a full-time Deputy 2 to a full-time Deputy 3 position beginning 2/1/2026. And the Sheriff's Office Corrections, I've got Macy Sorensen, who was selected from the most recent competitive selection and interview process to backfill the vacant full-time deputy position, effective 2/15/2026. And then Devin Whitney was selected from the most recent internal selection process to receive a promotion from a full-time Deputy 2 to a full-time corporal beginning 2/1/2026. In the IT department, Bailey Banks was selected from the most recent competitive interview and selection process to backfill the vacant full-time GIS coordinator, effective 2/17/2026. And then in the road department, I have got Jason, oh, believe me, Anikoski, I believe, I apologize for that, Josh Erickson and Kaylin Adams, who were all selected from the most recent competitive and interview selection process to backfill the vacant full-time road technician positions. I've got Jason, effective 2/17/2026, and then both Callan and Josh, effective 2/2/2026, and then I have one more that I'll bring to the next commission meeting. So we should be pretty close to fill there, which is good.
What is the environment lately on these kind of positions when you open
This
them up?
one's been, and Bruce was just, all of us were just kind of looking at each other like it was an anomaly. It was amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we had some great
Things are
candidates.
loosening
Very good
up a little
report.
Yes. Oh, it was so
with
great.
what job positions?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, very good report. I guess I have a question for Ken on the
Yes.
on replacing, or not replacing, but putting in place those in the corrections department so that we're ready to go. How's that hiring process been?
Well,
Are we up to date on where we wanted to be?
No, we just got word that 3 corrections deputies are leaving us. One's going back to West Virginia, one's going to Sandy City Police Department, and one, I believe, is going to, no, it wasn't Cedar, I wanted to say it was Utah Department of Corrections, but I may be wrong on that one. But we're losing 3, so.
We were good for a hot minute.
But our ones that we're putting into post, are we current on them?
So that's what Macy is, one of those. So yeah, we're always continuing to build our lists and to hire and to keep pace with it. But
Okay.
you know, the unknown is when we lose a deputy, and then we have to replace them as well. Yeah. So, any other questions for me at all?
Nope.
I just hadn't heard an update on that. I was curious as to where we are on.
Yeah, I mean, we've had some good hiring boards, both on the jail and the patrol side, which has been positive. But we continue to lose deputies, overpay. You know, we had 3 deputies on the patrol side that recently left. 2 went federal, 1 to the U.S. Marshals, 1 to Forest Service, and then we had 2 more that left. One went to Bryan Head for a $10 an hour raise, and another went down to St. George PD for a $12 an hour raise, which, you know, comes back to the same thing that we've known for a while, is that we've got to become competitive with the state wages. You know, more and more agencies fairly close to us are paying those state wages now, and it makes it more and more difficult for us to retain quality deputies for a long period of time. So, you know, we've got to be able to work towards matching wages at the state level.
Okay, thank you.
I would move for approval of personnel action items as described by Jennifer.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
So we've gone over county boards. Do we have a closed session?
I think so.
We do have a meeting after though, right? Aren't we doing a phone call meeting with someone?
I didn't arrange it.
What? Yes, with you and Kevin.
Okay.
Are you guys aware of that?
I was not.
How long is it going to last?
It's hard stop at 12, so 15 minutes.
15 minutes?
Okay. All right, so with no further items, we'll declare this meeting done, and reminder that all three commissioners will be gone for the next meeting, so there will not be a meeting
Until March, unless there's a special meeting. You need to do a special meeting, but